Right, good evening, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Golden Goal Fantasy Football Podcast. And this episode, we're going to cover FanTeam Gameweek 28 in both the full season and half-season Premier League games. And as usual, I'm joined by Sam. How you doing, mate?
Yeah, very well, mate. What about yourself?
Yeah, not too bad. I mean, we've just got off the back of recording a Sky Fantasy podcast, which I wouldn't say was boring, but there's not much interesting stuff going on in that game at the moment, just the way the fixtures are flying. But in FanTeam particularly, there's double game weeks going on everywhere, blank game weeks. It's really quite interesting at the moment. People playing their wild cards left, right and centre, so I think there's quite a bit to talk about in this one.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Let's get stuck in.
Right, so first up, I got I'm going to flash up my full season team. I'll just talk everyone through how it's gone and some plans for next week. I brought in Saar this week, 3 points. It's quite unlucky, wasn't it? Because he was on for a bloody clean sheet and a nice score, and got a bloody own goal, didn't he?
What are the chances?
Absolute kick in the teeth. Sars I think is a perfectly good option, even to hold till the end of the season. I just got unlucky with him this week, I think. Laporte and Cancelo, we already spoke about it on our Sky pod, but yeah, both of these two, I'm very fortunate that they got a clean sheet because, as we said, the Rodri handball there was ridiculous. I don't know how they got away with that, but yeah, certainly in fantasy anyway, it's good for me. I got the points. And unfortunately, Semedo went off injured. I could have taken a -8 to get rid of him, but I just didn't think it was worth it. So I was happy to field 9, and then I'll sort out Semedo this week. And then my midfield is Ward-Prowse, Son, Bowen, and Coutinho. Yeah, pretty solid all round really. 4, 3, 4, 9 points. Son, I think I'm going to leave him until the end of the season. I mean, he's probably one of the, other than Salah, obviously, probably the second strongest midfielder in the game with the amount of goals he gets and playing 90 minutes week in, week out. And yeah, brought in Ward-Prowse and Weghorst this week and captain Weghorst. Yeah, I can't say Weghorst was the best captain in the world, but looking at how many people actually captained him, I'm certainly not on my own there. And he'll be going straight out again this week, to be honest. My other two, Kane and Dennis. I don't know how Dennis is still in my team. And it's so annoying that he's got another double game week. So I just want to get rid of him. But there's just no reason to, is there? He's going to linger around like God knows what. But yeah, he's still in my team. And I'll probably play him next week for the double as well.
Yeah, man. 7.5 points sitting on the bench from Worcester.
Yeah, what can you do? I mean, yeah.
Exactly, buddy. Exactly.
My plan for next week is quite a simple one, really. I'm hoping that Chelsea are winning against Luton. I haven't checked the score, to be honest, but it's likely that they'll win that game.
I'll have a look.
And then Weghorst will become Broja, I think. So Semedo to Rudiger, Weghorst of Broja. It's a -4, but I think, if both Rudiger and Broja have a double game week, I think that's a -4, well worth taking. I'd like to think, even if Rudiger doesn't have a double game week, I think he's a sensible player to bring in regardless, to be honest. So, be quite happy with that.
So currently, mate, just to throw the cat amongst the pigeons, Luton are 2-1 up against Chelsea. Southampton are 1-0 up against West Ham. So I would have expected Luton to lose. And as we'll see later, affect the games slightly differently. But also I would have expected West Ham to win this one as well. So that might have an effect on potentially some of the plans. Liverpool currently 0-0, but only 20 minutes in. So I know this is kind of funny, me and you talking about it now. So when people listen to this pod, they'll all be over. They'll know what's happening.
But yeah, wow, I think everyone in the fantasy football community is a West Ham fan tonight, because if West Ham win this game, Southampton don't blank in game week 30.
Game week 30.
But if Southampton win, they won't play game week 30. So yeah. One to keep an eye on. I wasn't expecting that from Luton, to be honest, but by the look of the Chelsea team, well, Sky Sports seemed to think that Ruben Loftus-Cheek was playing centre-back, so that seems a bit dodgy.
Yes, he's gone full rogue on his setup.
So that's it, really, for my team. Yeah, Coutinho. One player I didn't really talk about was Coutinho. He's been a bit disappointing since I've owned him, but I bought him for the
Yeah.
fact that he doubles, this upcoming game week 28, and he doesn't blank in 30. So yeah, I brought him with those sort of areas in mind. So, and he's got Leeds as one of the fixtures this week as well, and I'm hoping that he can bag a few against Leeds. So yeah, that's my team.
Yeah, not a bad week, really, Tom, at all. Pretty
No,
good.
can't complain. I think I went up a couple hundred ranks, but yeah, I'm quite happy with that. How about yourself,
Yeah,
mate?
nice,
I've
mate.
just whacked yours up on screen.
So yeah, De Gea in goal, nice little 7-pointer. Obviously Foster on the bench as well, so a couple of goalkeeping returns there. Should I've gone for either or? Same like you with the City, Cancelo and Diaz. Very, very lucky to get the 2 clean sheets there. To be honest with you, it should have been a penalty. Who knows would they have scored it? But yeah, it should have been a pen. Yeah, blank. Oh, I mean, just full blank in the midfield, really. Coutinho, Rafinha, and Bowen. Happy for Rafinha for now because he's got quite a few. He's got another double game week, isn't he? And then they don't blank in game week 30, do they? They play. Is that right?
Yeah. So he's a pretty firm hold, isn't he?
Yes, he's a pretty firm hold. Coutinho, well, you just talked about the reasons for Coutinho, and I like the look of that Leeds fixture and coming up. Stopped the armband on Kane, actually. Went against the kind of Veghorst crew, although I owned him for the double. Faith was returned there with a 10.3 game. Hall versus Leeds, obviously captain, got the double. Same thing as you with Dennis. Mate, I played him on the bench on his last double, scores. Play him on this week, doesn't score because I have to play him. Probably bench him on the next double, he'll like get a trick or something. Veghorst, much like you, mate, he's probably going to go on the way out for me again. So in, out, shake it all about. And then on the bench was just basically no one that could play. So I'm really happy with that week. Actually, I navigated that quite well, and I've sort of looking to set up for 28 to 30, 31 now, which kind of looks like it's going to be okay. But again, just depending on some results tonight. So yeah, not a bad week. Moved up probably 500 or 600 on the rank. So it's very condensed up there, isn't it? And I like that the template's quite wide if you look at the percentage of players, ownership. So there's some opportunities to be had there. I think I'm 6 points behind you, 5.9
Yeah, I was
points
just about to
behind
say
you,
this.
Tom.
Yeah,
And how many places?
I think
That's
it's like
5 or 600?
500 places. Yeah, split
Yeah.
by 6 points. It's mental.
So it should give us some good. It gives me a good desire to get it right over the net. I mean, I'm 3.4k at the moment, which is not great. But when you look at where you are with under 6 points, I think if you strategize well and get a bit of luck, even alongside some hits over the next few weeks, you can make some real ground even without the wild card. So I think, like you said at the start of the pod, Tom, it's quite an exciting couple of weeks and FanTeam to make some ground, and just need to know these results from tonight and whatever, so that I know what I need to do for next week and leading into game week or blank game week 30.
And have you got any, regardless of how the fixtures lie with the FA Cup games, have you got any transfers in mind regardless?
Oh, sort of I think Leeds, Tottenham have another double game week at some point, don't they? Is that next week or week after or whatever? Sort of half tempted for, dare I say, a bit of Jamie Vardy in the Leicester run at some point to finish the season off. So I'll monitor him. I think Southampton through to the end of the season is not a bad shout. James Ward-Prowse, Kyle Walker-Peters, I like the look of them, and Ambrosia or even Shea Adams. I think you showed me the stat earlier with Shea Adams' expected goals is
He's
number
like
one,
fourth
isn't
in
it?
the league.
Premier
Yeah,
League?
I think he's above
Fourth, is he?
the likes of Bowen and stuff. I'll just check that stat for a second.
Yeah, I'm sort of thinking once Leeds have got their sort of massive fixtures out the way and whatever, that Rafinha might come out, Bowen might come out, I might put in a Leicester centre midfielder in there as well. Chelsea have got a really, really nice run. So I've got quite a few things pinging around my head at the moment in regards to those teams. Obviously, Wolves, I think I've already actually made the Sarr move from De Gea to Sarr. Depending on tonight's results, I'm thinking about a -4 or even a -8. again, reverse engineering kind of the players I want to bring in, I think the hit would be covered as a minimum. So I think like we chatted about off air, Tom, didn't we, earlier today about kind of -4s, -8s. If you know someone's going to double next and then not blank in game week 30, it really is setting yourself up well, especially if it's a good team with good fixtures. So yeah, quite a lot of food for thought at the moment with my team around that sort of stuff. But even got a little eye for Newcastle, mate. I don't know, like say that quietly, but yeah, sort of just
Got
yeah,
two double
quite
game
like
weeks in
it.
a
Quite
row,
like
don't
the
they?
way it's shaping up. Sorry, Tom. What was that?
I was just saying they got two double game weeks in a row, and yeah, as you said,
Yes.
just looking at the ownerships of players, obviously the likes of Salah, Trent, and Cancelo are in the 60s, but there are so many players in the 20 to 30% ballpark like numbers. There's so many different ways to play it, so it's just really interesting, isn't it? And it's just nice to see.
Well, yeah, like when we looked at the Sky, you look at the Sky ownerships, and it's so template at the moment, and it's just really frustrating and difficult to make any ground. Whereas FanTeam, you could pick a couple of different players. I mean, Salah's only 63% owned in the season long. In Sky, you're looking at 90 plus percent. So you don't make any ground with Salah. I mean, he's the best player in the game, right? Says it all, doesn't it? So the highest I've kind of got there is Salah, really, and the rest are all really nice percentages where if they return, they make you some ground. So yeah, it's exciting, and I'm going to have a really nice big focus on this moving into next season. I'm sure, probably like you, Tom, um, ditch all the dross and get focused on the gold, which is FanTeam.
Yeah, exactly. Play the games that win you some money.
Yeah, man.
All right, then. Just a quick look at our second chance teams. I'm quite happy with how my week went. I only went in
go
with.
through mine, Tom.
Oh, I'm gonna wait for that one. Yeah, I only went in with 9 players. Didn't want to get rid of Salah in Trent purely because I just knew I'd want them back. Salah's ownership's gone down to 28%. So yeah, people might be bringing him back in this week. And then obviously he's got another double game week coming up, so he'll probably come back. But yeah, I didn't lose rank despite keeping Salah and Trent, so I'm pretty content with that. I had Pope in goal, who probably go to either Assar or Ramsdale, Laporte, Cancelo, and then I actually have Semedo. Because he was injured, he became Marcel. But because of Semedo's price point, it looks really weird having a red player on your screen every time you look at it. But I actually don't need to get rid of him because I'll always have someone come in from that Wolves defence. So I'm just not going to bother with the transfer. Really happy with Phil Foden. It's cheeky little, like you say, those 20%-ish owned players, scored a goal. So that's probably what kept me like afloat in terms of rank, really. It's only 24% owned. So yeah, some nice returns from him. And Bowen and Rafinha just ticking away, really. And then Josh King and Weghorst up front. And like I said, I think my 2 planned transfers in this team, I'm going to go Pope to probably Sarr and Weghorst to probably Broja or maybe Rudiger, depending on how the games go. Because the beauty of this game as well, obviously, because there's no bench, you can be quite... you can swap a striker to a defender if you want to. It's quite nice.
Some nice versatility there.
It's time to laugh at Sam now, everyone.
Yeah, so quick. Well, this is going to be quick, really, isn't it? As you can see, guys, I forgot to set my team. That I think's a first, actually. I thought I'd done it the night before because I went through my normal team, checked my Sky teams, FPL, all that sort of stuff, and obviously had a lapse in concentration and didn't do my second chance team. Now, my rank was not too bad. Was it around 3K, some 2.9? I can't remember exact where it was, but now about 5 to 6K, 5 point something. But actually, I think I've gotten away quite lightly with it, Tom, there, because I had no captain whatsoever. Because my vice was on a freaking Liverpool player, as you can see. Yeah, 3 Liverpool boys that all blanked the captaincy and the vice captaincy on them. So that was really, I just didn't even bother to check it. Sarr, obviously, we talked about Sarr. Laporte, Cancelo, actually, where the bulk of my returns came from. Højbjerg, I didn't have him. He came in for someone that obviously didn't start. I can't remember who, maybe Mora or something.
Yeah.
Bowen and Rafinha, like you said, just sort of barely ticking along, and then Veghorst and King. So I think I dropped about 2,000 places, but considering that's not with no captain, I'll actually take that. And now I've got the triple Liverpool
Yeah.
moving forward. So
Honestly, I don't. I think you've jammed it here because you've also, yeah, like you say, you got triple Liverpool. You got Jose Sarr in goal, who I think will be a popular transfer, and probably you got
yeah,
2 free transfers in hand as well to
yeah.
attack this
So
this this game week. So I don't think it's too bad at all, to be honest. I
there
think
was a
you've
there was a bit
got
of
away
chat
with it.
about wild card, but I don't actually think I need the wild card in this team just yet. So um, yeah, just a bit frustrated I didn't make the one move and get at least a captaincy on someone. I probably would have left Salah. So I would like to think I probably would have stuck the captaincy on Veghorst. I think that's what I would have done, looking at it. So it would have only been another sort of
5 points,
5.10.
yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, I wouldn't have had the greatest week, I don't think, but I probably would have made a defensive move in there. And so, but yeah, like you said, somehow managed to roughly get away with it. So, yeah, two moves, triple Liverpool, Leeds, happy days. Thought process, Coutinho, again similar to the first the full season. Maybe JWP, something like that in there, and just see what happens with the results tonight as well.
Yeah, I like the sound of it, mate. And yeah, like I said, I don't think it's the end of the world. And yeah, I think surely down in those ranks that it must be so close. So say you gained 5 points on people in the week, you're
Yeah,
probably climbing 1,000 places at the moment, aren't you? It must be so tight.
yeah, yeah. 2-2 Chelsea Luton now, and then Liverpool are one up, and West Ham and Southampton are now 1-1. So it's really, really in the
That's getting
balance.
quite interesting, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we'd all probably guess that Liverpool would have won tonight. I think Chelsea will probably now go through and win that. But the West Ham and Southampton one's the biggie. Like you said, we're all sort of West Ham fans tonight, aren't we? So we can get that double from a couple of the Southampton boys, and then get the no blank in game week 30. As I said earlier, I'll be tempted to -8 it if that was the case.
Yeah, definitely. Like you say, the gains are there, aren't they, in the fixtures? So yeah, wouldn't rule out any hits this week.
Yeah,
Something probably worth just flashing up. I don't know if they've changed since the last pod, but obviously the fixtures are so important at the moment with the blanks and doubles. So I've just got them up on screen at the moment. Just looking immediately. In game week 28, we got doubles for Newcastle, Wolves, Leeds, Villa, Southampton, Watford, Norwich, and potentially Norwich and potentially Chelsea. So yeah, thinking of popular picks, I think most will have some kind of Wolves defender, whether that be a defender or their keeper. I'm quite a happy owner of Sarr, and in the second chance game, I've got Semedo, who becomes a Wolves defender. I think Rafinha owners, they'll probably feel a bit hard done by recent results. He's not been, picking up mega points, but I think with those fixtures coming up, you've just got to hold him, really, haven't you?
yeah,
And like you were saying
yeah. I
about,
mean,
go on, mate.
yeah,
Sorry.
sorry, Tom, you go for it.
I was just going to say, like you were saying about Coutinho as well. Really fancy him for this double. I mean, Southampton and Leeds. Southampton pretty resolute, but you'd really fancy him against Leeds if he plays that game.
Yeah, do you think he plays both?
I don't think he plays 90 minutes in both, but I definitely think he'll
No,
play both games. I think they're Saturday, Thursday. So
it's
to be
good
honest,
bit of
it's definitely
recovery time.
plausible. He could play both in 90 minutes. I think he'll probably get subbed off early, probably against Leeds when they're thrashing him 5-0.
Yeah, I mean, I look at these fixtures and it's a shame Newcastle blank in 30 because if you had two doubles and then a single there, I mean, few that stand out to me is obviously ASM if he's fit, Joe Willock's playing well at the moment, Dubravka, shame Kieran Trippier is injured. That would have been an absolute shoehorn in. I think because they blank 30 and I haven't got the moves to just make they're not the greatest team, are they? I think if I was on like a wild card or something like that, or I had couple of transfers in hand, or my team was better set with other players, I know it's come up as a question. I would definitely look to a Newcastle player as a little differential. It's just a shame it's not 5 fixtures over 3 weeks, isn't it? Instead of the 4 over 3. Wolves, I think just Wolves are so appealing, aren't they, defensively? Because that's such a nice double. Hence why I've gone for Sarr in DDG out. Crystal Palace and Watford. It could be 2 clean sheets there. It could be that. Then they've obviously got Everton and then into Leeds, so no blanks. It's just
It's a
fantastic, isn't
fantastic run,
it?
isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, it just solves that blank problem in game week 30. Leeds, again, like you said, like you just leave Rafinha if you've got him at the moment. You go in double, single versus Norwich, and then just the fact that he's got a game in 30 just means leave him in there. Um, yeah, Aston Villa tempt me. I've obviously got Coutinho. I'm so happy I've got him, and I actually think he's going to be my armband pick for this week. So you've heard it here first, Tom, because they've got the two games. Obviously, Leeds is a lovely one, and then they've got West Ham and obviously Arsenal. So they don't blank in the 30. So yeah, I think at least one Villa asset. Obviously, Coutinho is a great shout. Yeah, maybe a Buendia, maybe a Jacob Ramsey, maybe even a Luca Dean or a Martinez. If you want to go down one of those routes, I wouldn't be adverse to that. I don't know if you've got anything to add on that little rambling there, Tom.
No, not really. I don't think I've ever owned a Villa defender in any fantasy game.
I don't want to.
And Luca Dean as well. He seems to be such a trap. Even when he played for Everton
Oh,
or
mate, he
Villa, he's
is.
a trap in every game, isn't he? So
Yeah. I've not owned him in Sky or FanTeam. I don't think I would. But when we try and get rid of bad memories of players before, yeah, it depends how brave you are, doesn't it? It wouldn't be my sort of. I don't think I'd go for that, but I think I know a couple of good managers that are on Luca Dean at the moment, and clean sheet here, assist there, and you're racking up a couple of nice points. Southampton's the tricky one, isn't it? Because they've got Villa, Newcastle with a double, Watford in 29, and then they may play Burnley, dependent on tonight. If they play Burnley, if they do lose tonight and go out, that's right, isn't it? Then
yeah, they
I
got to
would.
go out to play. Yeah.
I'd probably look at I'll definitely bring one in. I think I might look to bring James Ward-Prowse, and I've sort of been tempted for Shea Adams, mate. Again, I want to look for something of a little differential pattern there. I think Broja is the better pick longer term, but he's the cheaper pick. But we haven't really got longer term. We're 10 game weeks off the end of the season, aren't we? So I quite like the thought of that. I think Kyle Walker-Peters, by the way, is a fantastic shout for Southampton. I think he's playing well. He's a good player. Again, if they don't blank game week 30, I think he's a real option for people.
And yeah,
Now
when
the
you
one
mentioned,
that sticks.
sorry,
Yeah, go.
you
Sorry,
mentioned
Tom. Yeah,
Shea
go for
Adams.
it.
Sorry, I was just looking at my phone for the stats. The top 5 expected goals over the last 4 games in the Prem. You got Salah, obviously, he's always top. He's on 3.6. Foden's on 2.9, and then in third place is your man Shea Adams on 2.8. He's outperforming, everyone but Foden and Salah. So I think perfectly good case to go for Adams. There seems to be something about him that's just dangerous at the moment.
He's one of those. He's a purple patch boy, isn't he? I've seen it in FPL and FanTeam last season, whatever platform you've been playing on. Where he'll have those games, he just scores a few goals, goes off the boil. Time to get him out, but hopefully you've got your returns on him. Sort of look at the Watford there with their double and then single 29 and then a potential 30. Do we know? We don't have any more. Do we have any more information on
I
that
think
30
that
for them
game
yet?
goes ahead if Everton. I can't remember who they're playing. Is it like Boreham Wood or something like that? So if Everton lose that game, then that game doesn't blank. But I think it's like a League One or League Two team that Everton are playing. So you'd expect them to blank in 30.
Mate,
In
are we
fact,
just gonna we're
I've
gonna
got
have
it.
Dennis? We're gonna have Dennis all season, aren't we? Should we just accept it now that Dennis is just gonna be in there? Because again, I'd rather have a game week 30 player if with a double, and then if they do play in 30, I'd rather just have it. Especially with lack of strikers. Now, the one that sticks out to me, Tom, here massively, and I can see your interest, is obviously Chelsea. They get the double. Do we have any confirmation? We don't have any confirmation that they're doubling 28, do we? At the moment, it's still the single.
Yeah, so the double hinges on Chelsea's result against Luton. So if Chelsea, I've got this Krellin, I've called it Krellin blanks, but it's Ben Krellin's view of the whether they double or blank. I mean, obviously, the games are going to happen tonight, and most people listening to this won't care, but this is important for us at the moment. So yeah, the Norwich and Chelsea game, will happen. If the Norwich or Chelsea game will blank if Norwich beat Liverpool.
So
Or
tonight.
if Chelsea beat Luton, sorry. And that means the game will become a double. So it's like an 85%-ish chance based on bookies' odds that they'll double in 28. They just have to
So
beat
so
Luton, really.
Chelsea are 3-2 up now with 10 minutes to go. So let's assume Chelsea are going through then.
Mm-hmm.
So that's going to change a few things. Southampton are 2-1 up again now. James Ward-Prowse penalty. And Liverpool are 2 up. So yeah, this is quite interesting. Anyway, yeah. So Chelsea, yeah, I'm going to wait for more news, but there's a potential there to jump on them and go in quite hard, isn't there? If results did go that way, but they don't look like that's going to happen.
And just speaking of Chelsea assets, who do you fancy from them? Because at the moment, for me, like people are going to be jumping on them. Some people are going to be going mad, I think. But for me, I only really fancy Rudiger. I don't know.
Yeah. Rudiger, he's nailed, isn't he? Reece James has got great explosive ability, but Tuchel's come out and said he played more than he should have in the Carabao Cup. He's not going to be playing. He's not going to be every game, is he? So, although as much as I love that, I mean, he did me absolute wonders earlier in the season. I don't think I'd be on him. Thiago Silva, good shout, at 37, 36. Minutes need to be managed. Also like Mendy, but with good opportunities for other goalkeepers, it just rules him out.
Yeah.
So I think Rudiger's a great shout. And maybe another centre back. I don't want anyone from midfield. I don't want anyone from the front line.
I had ahead of the Club World Cup, I had Mason Mount for a few games, who didn't do me too badly. But yeah, I just think that all those midfield and forward players, their minutes are going to be managed. And even in the midfield, right, I wouldn't say Mason Mount. I've got 5 midfielders in most of my teams at the moment. And they're probably the 5 strongest midfielders in the game. So it's really difficult to fit Mason Mount in against all the other midfielders in the game, to be honest.
Especially when he's not an explosive scoring striker. And for Mason Mount to go to that next level in terms of his player returns, but also for a fantasy asset, he needs more regular returns, doesn't he? He missed 2 really good opportunities in the Carabao Cup, and you're thinking that falls to a Salah, a Son, a Mane, a Jota, Rafinha. They're probably scoring. So yeah, that obviously then just that game goes back to fantasy points and stuff. So yeah, he's a no for me at the moment. I think if he starts to add more consistency in terms of goals to his game, then in the future he'll be a good asset. Don't get me wrong, he's a very, very good player. I'm talking purely fantasy here, not to offend any Chelsea fans or whatever.
Yeah, their club's being sold at the moment, so they don't need any more. They don't need any more hurt.
No, they don't.
Few questions, and yeah, as always, thanks everyone for your questions. Really appreciate it. First up, we got FPL Neo. So he says, yeah, his question: Newcastle options. What do you guys think? I think you've already said a couple, haven't you?
Well, I went through it last night in prep for this question, but also because I was looking at my team, and I think Dubravka probably a good shout. You know, you're not going to get loads of. I don't think loads of clean sheets are on the horizon, but what comes with that becomes saves points, doesn't there? Saves points. So, and with volume of fixtures as well, he's a good shout. Don't think there's anyone else in that back line, is there, Tom, that really jumps out now that Trips is out?
No, I just don't think they get enough clean sheets to warrant a centre back, for example. Like I'd say Dan Burn is probably, like, in terms of ability, their best defender, but you wouldn't pick him in fantasy football. So yeah.
No.
Maybe.
I mean,
you were saying St Maximin in Willock. I mean, Willock seems to have had a bit of that form he had last season. So I wouldn't be opposed to a Willock or a St Maximin. The only caveat I'd have for St Maximin is he plays 2 or 3 games and he picks up a niggle. And the thing is with Eddie Howe as well, as we've seen this season, is he doesn't ever let on in the press conference that happened the day before games. He never lets on to the fact that St Maximin is injured. So you'll never know if he's actually out or not. So it's just a risk, isn't it?
you just couldn't see him. You just don't. I can't see him starting all 4 of those next Brighton, Southampton, Chelsea, and Everton. I don't even know if I see him playing 2 of them, Tom. You know,
I think he's only just coming back from an injury now as well, isn't he?
Sorry, say that again?
He's only just coming back from an injury now. I think I saw an Instagram post of him on a plane flying back from where he was getting treatment. So
Yeah, there you go. Is he even fit for the first one? Probably not. So that's three, and then you're not going to get him on form. Joe Linton? I mean,
maybe they don't have a strong. Well, Chris Wood obviously is playing there, but I just don't think he's been that impressive
yet,
so
is
far.
he?
No, don't think so.
Ryan Fraser, he's had the odd assist. They're just, yeah, there's not, I don't think there's too much past maybe Willock and Dubravka. And even then on Willock, like we said, you've got to get him mid-purple patch. But you'd expect him to play the game. So just from a points perspective of playing maybe 3 or 4 90s there, could be worth it. But apart from those guys, I don't think there's anything really else that excites me. And I think because there's such good goalkeeping opportunity, other good goalkeepers to go for. Sarr, like we talked about, Ramsdale coming up. He sort of rules out Dubravka unless you can have him as a second choice goalkeeper.
Yeah. I think I saw somewhere on one of the FPL Twitter accounts, I think the best goalkeeper rotation towards the end of the season, well, from this point onwards...
Pickford and...
I think it was Dubravka and Ramsdale, because if you rotate them across the season, I think you avoid playing any of the top 6 teams.
Nice. I think I saw that earlier.
Do you really want Dubravka? I'm not sure.
You're not looking at it. If you're going in for Newcastle's because of volume of fixtures, isn't it? Not because of explosive returns. So, yeah, that leaves it down to me to pretty much just Dubravka on a saves point stack up bonus sort of thing. If you get the odd clean sheet out, 1 out of 4 or something, you've done well. Willock, like you said, he needs to be in a purple patch. He's playing well at the moment. That's about it.
We had a great question from our good friend Flower Pot Man. So he's asked us, how many teams did both of us enter this season? What were your realistic targets going into it? How have they changed as the season's gone on? And where are we both aiming to finish now? Do you want to take this one first, mate?
Yeah, I think Flower Pot Man's doing really well, isn't he? He's very, very good at very, very good at all formats. I think he's got some teams flying high in both the season long and the half season one. I entered 2. One of them's already dead. It's about 10,000, or even higher than that. I've just left it for the last few game weeks. Realistic aim, mate. My first season on FanTeam, albeit it's not my first season of fantasy football. Obviously, I've played for many years. But the first season on FanTeam. So I was just happy, although I played in the summer like you on the Euros and won a little bit of cash, which is obviously good. I wanted just to suss this season and see kind of how to play FanTeam over the season-long game, and obviously followed Josh from last year, who came on our pod a few weeks ago and took up some of his hints and tips. And so I didn't have huge expectations, but I thought I could possibly get into the money. Which I'm still in now. I was a lot higher rank sort of 8 weeks ago, sort of 250th, and then it sort of dropped off. But I think my expectation for the end of the season, if I can stay in the money and end up anywhere between 1 and 2,000th from where I am now, so sort of, another 1,000 rank rise, bearing in mind how close it is, I'll be happy with that for first season in FanTeam. And next year, I think I'm going to take it a little bit, well, not more seriously because I've taken it seriously all season, but
you just learn every season, don't you?
Yeah, add a few more teams, picked up some information, some learnings on certain players and bonus points and all that sort of stuff, and look to enter a few more teams next season. So it's been I really enjoy the game, and looking forward to next season, regardless that I've gone a little bit downhill. What about yourself, mate?
Yeah, quite a similar story to me, really. To you, sorry. I mean, we're not affiliated with FanTeam at all, so they don't give us any free teams or whatever. But I was lucky enough to be gifted a free team for the Euros. And as you say, following Josh's advice really helped me during the Euros. I had a really good finish where I won like 40 quid on a free team. So I just reinvested that into my team this season, and then I think I went to the pub with the rest of the money. But yeah, so I just had, basically I've not invested any of my own money into FanTeam yet. I've just been really lucky off of ranks and a gifted entry, and obviously the second chance game, we all got a free entry to that as well. So yeah, I've got one team in the full season game and one team in the second chance game, and both are in and around 3,000th, which is returning me some money. So just winning any kind of money, or at least getting my money back, is the target really. So I can just keep playing the game without really too much risk. That's sort of where I'm going. I think I'll probably put a bit of my own money into it next season, but I'm just not that much of a gambler myself. I just think there's too much bad stuff going on about gambling, so I try and stay away from it where I can. But yeah.
Yeah, no, mate, absolutely. I'm sort of a little bit disappointed actually. I know that Foul Pot Man asked the question sort of loosely around that, and I think riding higher through the season and still been fairly experienced in fantasy management of teams, like quite where it went wrong a little bit to drop so drastically. Traditionally, when I've been playing the games, I've done it the other way around, so I haven't been doing so well maybe at one stage, and then I've had quite a nice linear rise, give or take the odd week, with a strong kind of finish, and just hasn't happened in this. Whereas, other sort of formats I've managed to get a handle on it and then keep progressing. So I'm a little bit disappointed, but you can always learn from every season and situation and whatever. And hopefully, take it into next season and have a better season.
I don't know, I'm going to use a weird analogy here, but I remember when I watched Deal or No Deal as a kid, and everyone was and then you got I think it sort of applies to this sort of thing as well, with how much appetite you have for risk in winning money, isn't it? Because like I'd be the type to just take the first deal that came my way. Say the banker offered me $5,000 at the start of the game, I'd probably say yes. It's $5,000, you came in with nothing, might as well say yes. That's the sort of mentality I have with these sorts of things.
I think I'm a little bit more on the gamble front, and I think I'll continue to do that now for the rest of the season on FanTeam. Yeah, I'm happy to win whatever money I'm in. I can't remember what it is, like 40 quid or 60 quid or whatever it is. Yeah, it's great, but I'd like the opportunity to add a little bit to that. So if it means not winning anything at all but having gone for it versus trying to play it safe and ending up with 60 quid, I'd rather not have anything. I'd rather go for it and win a couple hundred quid or whatever. So yeah, it's all going to unfold now, isn't it? Over the next couple of weeks on the channel, we have everyone here accountable. We're accountable to them, so it's going to be make or break.
Yeah, definitely. Last couple of questions then around wildcards. So the first one from an account Ugly Wolf. I presume that he's playing his wild card this week in the second chance game, which actually seems to be quite a popular move.
We talked about it early, didn't we?
With how my team's going. But yeah, one to ponder with how these fixtures lie. So Ugly Wolf asks us, how many players with blanks in game week 30 would you bring in on a wild card? It's quite a tricky one, actually. I'm just going to flash the fixtures back up and just provide my thoughts, really.
Yeah.
So I think definitely if I was wildcarding, I would bring in probably a couple of Wolves players. I'd have Sarr and a Wolves defender, maybe even two, but definitely Sarr and a Wolves defender. I think Coutinho is a shoe-in this week if you're on wildcard. Probably another Villa player as well, just because they double this week in a couple of quite favourable fixtures and have got Arsenal in 30 is quite a tough one, but at least they play. Then we were talking about Rafinha as a good option as well. So I think that brings you up to 4 or 5 players. Then Arsenal have obviously got a double coming up and they don't blank. Definitely don't blank. So I think an Arsenal player, probably a couple of them as well, is a good move. Yeah. Likes of Tierney. I know you've got Tierney sitting in your team. I think he's a really, really nice asset. A bit of Lacazette maybe, or a Saka potentially.
Definitely, Lacazette's got good. He's statistically okay at the moment as well. He's not a massive goal scorer, but he's been in and around the points and lack of strikers.
And we were talking there about Leicester as well, that the fact that they're still in this Europa Conference League, it's meaning quite a lot of their postponed games still can't be rearranged. So if you look at this, this fixture grid, this is from Ben Crellin, by the way. I'm not going to take any credit for his good fixtures work. I'm just going to talk people through it. But Leicester still have 3 games to be rearranged this season, more than any other team, and they don't blank. So after game week 30, Leicester definitely have the most fixtures. So I think you were eyeing up Vardy, Sam. I wouldn't talk anyone out of Vardy. I personally like Tielemans, for example. That would be my immediate thoughts. I'll let you do a bit of talking now.
But obviously
Sam.
he's not blanking. I think, like you said, you've got to cover off probably a couple of players from those key teams that you want players for the other side of the blank, regardless. It's like Chelsea's probably a prime example of that. You're probably going to want a wild card in a Chelsea defender, aren't you? Yeah,
Yeah,
regardless if
I
they
would buy
blank.
Rudiger regardless. Yeah.
Yeah, Liverpool look like they're going. Well, they are probably going to blank on 30 as well. You want Salah in there. You probably want Trent. You probably want the Liverpool treble up, don't you? Um, so that's another team that. So I think those picking those strongest teams. But what I'd have in mind is who's on the bench that can come in, or what moves am I going to make in and around that, where I can then afford to have Salah, Rudiger, and Trent on my bench, but I've got 10 or 11 starting players for game week 30.
I think at a minimum you want 9, don't you? I think any less than 9, you may as
Playing,
well not
yeah.
play your wild card.
Yeah, but I think you want to be fairly well set for after that, or
Yeah.
within one move of being well set. Like I said to you earlier, if I had a wild card or quite a few two transfers, I might make a slightly different move, for example. And you want the ability, whatever your plan for your team is, your strategy, to be able to get to, I don't know, the triple Chelsea or triple Liverpool or Man City or whatever those big explosive teams and players within simple moves without having to lose your squad kind of structure and take endless hits. I know it's so difficult to navigate with all the rearrangement stuff, but Tom, you made some good points on teams having to play more games like Leicester. Obviously, we've only got how many bench spots? Is it 4 bench spots, isn't it? But a good goalkeeper on that bench as well is a viable option. So it's 4 sort of, yeah. So kind of if you're going to go in with sort of Chelsea, Liverpool, that sort of stuff, who are going to probably blank, then make sure you've got enough squad depth in there to fill in players that are not going to blank on 30, and then you'd be happy to either have on the bench afterwards or take out for someone for the run from game week 31 to the end of the season.
So here's an interesting one then, just thinking of 30. Who would you captain that game week, provided all was the fixtures were as they are at the moment?
So what we're saying are we going on the fact that we don't think now Southampton are going to play? We don't think, obviously, Liverpool are not going to play and Chelsea are not going to play based off results right now.
Yeah, so it's looking like Chelsea are going to play because they've just beaten
They've
Luton
won.
and Norwich are losing. But it doesn't look like
Does that mean
Southampton
Chelsea will play, does it, on 30?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think, it's Rudiger, isn't it, if he plays?
So complicated, isn't it?
Sorry, I think I've got this wrong, actually.
Yeah, because they'll
yeah, so sorry, they will
play,
blank. Yeah, there's a good chance they will blank now. So Chelsea won't play that game week, sorry. That's my bad.
So, right, let's look at the fixture. So, yeah, right, 30. So, right. So, Leicester have got Brentford. So, you've got Jamie Vardy, Harvey Barnes,
I think Brentford
Maddison,
have probably dropped
Tielemans.
off as well, haven't they?
Yeah. Arsenal Villa. That's a tough one. I wouldn't want an Arsenal captain, and I wouldn't really want a Villa captain because I think that could be a 1-1, 2-1 sort of job. So it's not really a standout there. Wolves Leeds. I mean, do you really? The thing is, you want attacking players against Leeds defense. Wolves are not an attacking team, so you if you captain Sarr or Semedo, you're going to look at
They'll probably
10
concede
point
in
maximum.
that game, maybe. Yeah.
Yeah, and so there isn't a standout captain there. Rafinha is certainly not a standout captain in that one. So I think it's a Leicester asset, mate. If depending on the fixtures, of course. I think a Vardy or something like that, or a Maddison is a good shout for that day. So
Yeah,
do you have that in mind? You've got to have that in mind then, haven't you? Do you then go for a player that's got either is straight through from 28 through to 30, does that make Vardy a really good shout on a wild card because he's got Leeds next?
He's got Leeds next, and he's got. That's fancy.
He loves a goal against Arsenal, Tom.
He does.
He loves a goal against Arsenal.
God, can you believe it? We're advising people to bring in Jamie Vardy, but I think it's a perfectly good shout.
There's no advice going on for. I hate Jamie Vardy, but if I was on wildcard and I was looking to make we've just talked ourselves into Vardy there, and I think it's viable. The caveats to that are he's not played a lot of football. He didn't start the other night, but he came off the bench, goal and assist. He's not guaranteed to start Leeds. He's certainly not guaranteed to start the next couple. So you've got to weigh that off. I think Maddison's a good shout, but he hasn't started the last two. So you've got to weigh up those risks, Tom, with will that player start? You bring in Vardy, you stick the armband on him, and he comes on for 15 minutes at the end against Leeds.
And I was also going to recommend Tielemans as well, but I think there's even a caveat with him now. I think in the last game he got subbed off quite early on, and he just walked straight down the tunnel. So I think he's got he hasn't signed a new contract or anything yet either, has he? So I think even he's a bit of a
Harvey Barnes is a good shout. I think Harvey Barnes has played. I think did he get an assist the other night or the game before? Yeah. I like Maddison, but again, if you're not playing the games, you're thinking, do I pick a player who's not nailed? And then, I can't remember. I think if you got a Fantasy Football Hub membership, obviously we're not affiliated with them either, but I just use their fixture ticker. Then you can see who's got really nice fixtures from 31 to 38 and fill the gaps in with that. I think you've got to go long haul if you go wild card, but good question. I mean, we've been talking about it for a while now.
Yeah, and I think you were talking about
a good question.
You were talking about the fixture ticker there. I think the best team on that ticker in terms of quality of fixtures to the end of the season on paper is Southampton. I think they, on paper, have the best run. So if I was wildcarding this week, you definitely want to buy some Southampton players and just let them blank, wouldn't you? They got a double and then just buy like a Ward-Prowse or a Broja, wouldn't you?
Yeah, he's raised a good point because they don't blank, which they look like they're going to blank now because, yes, 93 minutes, 2-1 down. If they didn't blank, you go triple up, I say. I think you go Kyle Walker-Peters, James Ward-Prowse and Broja. But now I think you probably just go double because you don't want to put all your eggs in that basket for a game week 30 blank unless you've got a move penned in to take one out to bring someone in, for example. So, I think a double there with that one. But again, such a hard question to answer, like with exact specifics when we don't actually know the rest of the fixtures. But sort of 9 players, Tom, coming from those 3 or 4 fixtures we read out, that's probably quite a few. Like, it could be the fact that it's lower than that.
Yeah, and I think that the way that we describe that blank as well is it's not the most ideal fixtures with the ideal teams either, is it? You're not expecting, we struggled to even think of a captain that week, didn't we? So you're not really expecting anyone to go mad. So yeah, you don't want to line yourself up to have 11 players that week to hit yourself.
But you want to sub them all out.
Yeah.
And that's why I think you set yourself up sensibly with a good long-term plan on teams that have got games coming up with good assets, and then you build in around that game week 30. Obviously paying attention to doubles and whatever coming up the next 2 game weeks as well. And if you can field, if it stays at 4 or 5 games or whatever, just 3 or 4 games, if it is that, then you try and get what you deem is the best captaincy option for that week of someone playing 4 or 5 other good quality players alongside that, maybe slightly higher dependent on the games, and then go from there. I think that's probably a sensible route, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so, mate. I was going to say something then, but I've forgotten. No, it's gone. Yeah, I completely agree with what you said.
Southampton just scored again, so
that's done then, isn't it? They're blanking in 30. The only thing I was going to say, is I still think, depending on obviously the state of your team, but genuinely still believe that the best time to play a wild card is game week 31, and then you can field as many players as you want in game week 30 if you cleverly use your transfers, and then you can get rid of them all with a wild card and set yourself up for those remaining games afterwards.
Yeah, you can now look at it and actually even, like I said to you, use some hits, strategic hits, work out, well, if you're taking a -4, but X players play in 2 games and he averages 4 points a game, but you've taken a -4, so you're going to get 8 over the 2. Well, you're going to go, hopefully, if you're basing it off the average, minimum of 4 up on that. And same with a -8, you might then work out that that's still viable as well. And so like you said, it goes even further than that though, because if you're setting yourself up for that game week 30 as well as attacking some doubles, this is what I'm trying to think of at the moment. And if I'm going to take any hits, making them not only viable and pay off for this game week, but also up into 30 as well. And then just look for a plan from 31 onwards to the end of the season with my team based off, like you said, Tom, fixtures and that sort of stuff.
And
There's quite a lot of options, isn't there, for the fan team guys?
Yeah, it's like I was saying, it's far more exciting. Well, it's just the nature of the weeks, really. I wouldn't say the Sky game. Sky remains my favourite fantasy game, but at the moment, FanTeam is definitely the more exciting of the two for me.
Yeah.
And the final question was from Dan. So I answered this, and he said he's still got his wild card. When's the best time to use it? And in my opinion, it's still build yourself up for blank game week 30 and then hit the button in 31. I don't know if you have a different opinion to that, mate, or if you agree.
No, I don't really. I mean, on the contrary to that, if you can somehow work out a plan with the next to the end of season in mind, but also attacking the doubles really nicely and then navigating the blanks, if you work out some master plan and it all fits in, I think it's viable to get on that because you might get ahead of a few people, but there is some rearrangement still to come, as you've said. So holding on to that to, like you said, after the blank week 30 and then into 31 and then just attacking that hard. It always seems like it's a bit of FOMO. You want to get it used, isn't it? But I think if I had it, I'd be trying my best to hold out to 31 and then just going, right, how am I? Because 8 game weeks is a good amount of time to make some ground with a wild card and setting the team up well. So, yeah, I think I agree with you, Tom, and same answer.
Cool. Well, that ends it then for this week on FanTeam. Yeah, we went on for a little while there, but like we said, it's more. There's so much to talk about at the moment. It's a really exciting time for this game. So yeah, I'm looking forward to what the game week has in store, and yeah, hoping. I think I'll need it in the Sky and all the games I'm playing. Hoping for Coutinho to do quite well this week because he's my cheeky. Well, he's not massive differential, is he? But he's quite low owned, and he's probably my best opportunity to make some money. So yeah, go Coutinho.
Yeah, he's probably going to be my captain shout as it stands. So just like to back someone like that over the 2 games and a game versus Leeds as well. I think Southampton's a hard game, but I still, he's a good player and he could return against anyone. So yeah, that's where I'm currently at with it. Coutinho with the armband. We'll see tune in for a disaster review next week, guys.
Don't forget to make him your captain.
Yeah, mate, I know. Yeah, I'll do both teams this week.
All right, cheers everyone. Thanks for listening. Yeah, as always, if you like what you saw, give us a like and a sub on YouTube and the same on Spotify. And yeah, we'll catch you next week for see how we got on.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening.